Hey, what's going on, everybody? Massive Iron Live, Saturday morning. I think I'm about 5 minutes late. Don't hold it against me. Got a little bit of a slow start this morning. Crept out of bed later than normal, and it's cold as heck here in Lebanon, Ohio. So I really didn't want to get out of bed. It's like 21 degrees Fahrenheit. What's going on, John? 21 degrees Fahrenheit here in Ohio. Cold enough to snow, and we got a big day coming up. It's ladies' night right outside my wife's business. So what's going on? YouTube's actually notifying people on time this morning. So I got my coffee in hand. It's freezing here in the gym, but I'm going to stay on, do a live Q&A as long as you guys can tolerate me. Before I get into the questions, guys, and if I miss your questions, good afternoon, Andrew, Lawrence. If I miss you guys' questions, just post them up again. If I don't see him at all, just head over to my Instagram, @BenTheBarman, @BenTheBarman, and post them up in the DM. So before I get into the live Q&A, if you guys need any help, don't forget my site, Super Living Today, which is linked below in most videos. If you need weight loss coaching, if you need power building coaching, get big and strong. Uh-oh, Sketty's in here. If you need a workout assessment, diet assessment, a body fat assessment, or you just want a really cool Massive Iron t-shirt, one that says "Stay Sexy, People," you can check that out at Super Living Today. What's going on, Super Sketty?
Out to the car.
All right. Don't get lost.
You didn't lose me.
No, I didn't lose her. All right. Let's hop into the Q&A. If I miss your questions, what's going on, Robert? Robert is a writer over at TigerFitness.com, and I'm glad to have him on my team. Robert recently wrote an article on inosine, I believe is how it's pronounced, which is an ingredient in Jerry Ward's new pre-workout, and you should check that out at TigerFitness.com. Basically shows why the ingredient is a crap ingredient, and does so in a scientific way. If I miss your questions, guys, toss them up. I don't care about you being big, Shaw, but you are nice and honest. Thank you. I appreciate that. I try to be. I've been doing this a long time and made a few mistakes, but I try to keep my head out of my butt. See, Alexander says, to stretch or not to stretch at the end of training. Well, here's what I have to say. And I used to stretch a lot before and after running. I was a runner for about 14 years. I don't really stretch anymore, but there is some value, in my opinion, after training, because after you're done, obviously you're going to be tight. Usually the fascia, in my opinion, gets a lot tighter than the muscles. That's the tightness that most people feel. And when they go in and need to loosen up before or after a workout, it's usually the fascia that they are struggling with. So I think it's a good idea. I also think a little bit of flexibility can't really hurt anybody, because as you age and you're an old AF guy like me, honestly, you feel like you don't have enough flexibility. So I would say a little bit is not a bad idea. Peter, list training for getting stronger. List training for getting stronger. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. List cardio or rest pause training. Maybe you can clarify. EST Param, yo, just walk 30 floors of stairs in 10 minutes. Humbling cardio. Yeah, that sounds like good cardio. What's going on, lifting dermatologist? And let's see, greetings from Belgium. Alexander says, doing 3x10 rep goal system, I find it more comfortable to try and aim for 10 to 12 reps per set. But if I try to, sorry, the text goes away here. But if I try to push it to the limit of max reps in one set, my last sets are very low in quantity. That's normal, and that's what you want. You want to get to the point where your first set, let's look at 3 sets of bench press. You can do 3x10, all right? With whatever weight you're doing. Say it's 185. And the last set, might be easier to push at for an all-out amount of reps. If you do so and you get 12 reps on that last set of bench press, that means the first 2 sets weren't completely challenging, because you had a lot left in the tank to get to your third set and to be able to do it for 12 or 13 reps. The way I always did it was I would go in and do as many reps on the first set, as many reps on the second set, and as many reps on the third set. And when you do that, your reps are going to get lower and lower each set, and this alarms some people. Don't be alarmed by that. That's a good thing. you are making those sets count. The further you take a set towards failure, and I don't want you to train to failure, but the deeper into a set you go, the more muscle fibers you're recruiting. Don't worry that your reps are decreasing. If they go from like 12 to 10 to 7, just try to improve each one, each workout. Alexander says, and is the max reps more taxing for the CNS? The central nervous system, your biggest risk with taking sets to the limit is that you are you're going to get hurt if your form is not good. And I don't, especially on like things like squats and deadlifts, which I do not advocate taking things to the limit. On squats, it's usually like 2 reps shy of failure. And on deadlifts, probably the same thing. That's the closest I'd ever go to failure. Your biggest risk in training this way is that you're going to beat your body up because you have bad form, or you're going to get really strong really quickly, and at some point you're going to need to make changes. But your central nervous system, not really. I trained that way for a very, very long time. All right, let's see here. What's going on, Rod, sorry. Nama, should I drop the weight instead of doing the eccentric and heavy deadlifts? I've been doing some eccentrics. Should you drop the weight on deadlifts? No. You should, but on the other hand, you don't want to ride it down like an RDL. You want to let it just kind of, you want gravity to kind of take its course. I don't stop. I don't fight a bar that's descending on the deadlifts. I keep my hands on the bar. I don't release the bar. Occasionally I do so when I'm like a wild man, but I guess the answer to your question is just let it go down controlled and keep your hands on the bar, but don't do a complete drop to the point where the plates are resting. But you don't want to fight it. You just want to let it take its own course, if that makes sense. Power cleans. Alexander says power cleans. Let me get a little bit of coffee here. Do you perform them with front squats or quarter squats? Power cleans. You can really perform them however you want. When I did them, and I didn't do them for a very long period of time, but I've done them occasionally, I would do them after deadlifts, because after deadlifts, your central nervous system is firing, and it's going to feel generally lighter. Now, one exercise you can do to really help your deadlifts is front squats. People ask me, do front squats help back squats? Or do back squats help front squats? Front squats don't really help back squats, but front squats tend to help with the deadlift. They're a good deadlift assistance exercise, in my opinion. So a good program would be to do deadlifts, front squats, and power cleans maybe on the same day. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but Andrew says, will you pause for a minute tomorrow to remember the soldiers who fell 100 years ago today? I am a veteran myself, and my father served 2 tours in Vietnam, and his father served in the Army as well in wartime. So I come from a long lineage of soldiers. What's going on, folks? What's better, running on a treadmill or Stairmaster? What's better, running on a treadmill? Stairs are better because you're going uphill and you're going to burn more calories than running on the flat ground. If you're going to do a treadmill, like treadmills and running outside on, asphalt tend to beat up your body. You might not realize that, or you might be young and it's not punishing you enough, or you don't realize how hard it's punishing you. I'd rather see you do a Stairmaster, because that's going to elevate your heart rate, and you can go pretty quickly and get your heart rate going. You can get your heart rate up there. What's a large cup of coffee? What do you think about John Meadows' channel? I just talked to John Meadows on the phone about, I don't know, about a week and a half ago, about actually going up there and doing a collab, doing some a video on some arm finishers and some leg finishers. John's a good guy. John's a reasonable guy, and somebody that one of the few people in the industry that is just a legit good guy. So I like John. Let's see. And that is a large cup of coffee. But you know what? I got a big full day ahead of me. I got to finish my gym up in here. And I got a client coming at 11. Alexander says, are knee sleeves really useful and keeping the joint fluid warm, or is it just a marketing thing? No, they're useful. I've used them before. Keeping your joints warm, and this might be bro science because I am no expert on knee sleeves. Knee wraps and wrist wraps, on the other hand, I have a lot of personal experience with. But on knee sleeves, I've tried them, and I wore them at the last Sitfu in Cincinnati, the last Sitfu I was at during the Murph, and they helped because my knees were a little bit wonky. My knees were a little bit not happy because I had done a trail marathon and then a Sitfu and then another Sitfu. So I wore them, and they did provide some support, and they did seem to help my joints. So, best exercise for calves. You know, the problem with calves is that people don't train their calves like they train the bench press. So let's establish that. People, when they go in the gym, they're not trying to set like calves PRs. They're not obsessed with calves strength. You should be. Now, I like working in 10 to 15 rep ranges for calves just because it feels good for me. And low rep sets for a minor muscle group just don't really make sense. So it really doesn't matter what you do for calves. I've done the leg press, or the toe press on the leg press. I don't like that because the range of motion doesn't seem good. Standing and seated calf raises are good. If you don't have machines and you're at home, you can grab a barbell, just stand up, and I do like a rocking where I rock back on my heels and then up on my toes like this. So I rock on my heels and my toes. It's a little bit awkward watching me do this, but I do that holding a barbell, and I can do a lot of explosive calf work. So really, I like seated or standing calf raises, and make sure you're trying to get them strong. All right, guys, if I miss your question, post it up again. Just a reminder, you can head over to superlivingtoday.com if you need a workout assessment, diet assessment. You want to know your body fat percentage. I have all kinds of books over there, my Power Muscle Block System, my Massive Iron book. I have lots of t-shirt options, and you can hire me as a coach, and I'm pretty reasonable. I have a special that I'm going to be running on Black Friday, $25 for the first month. $25 for the first month with a 4-month commitment. All my clients are losing weight. Except for one, I believe, and he just checked out like 3 weeks ago. He doesn't respond to me, so can't really do anything there. Hector says, do you really need a deload week? People are obsessed with deloads, and here's my personal philosophy, and you can form your own philosophies and opinions. I don't like to randomly schedule a deload week for some time in the future unless I'm doing a super intense program. A lot of volume, a lot of intensity, and then I probably need to schedule a deload week. But for just average guys doing average training, nothing special, I like to take a day off when I feel beat up. Maybe taking 2 days off if I feel beat up. I like to just take an extra day or two off when I need it. I like to allow the extended periods of time away from the gym just to happen naturally, like maybe during Christmas where I need 3 or 4 days off. Maybe when I go on vacation, maybe when I go on an extended hike or an extended weekend. So I like to keep them intuitive and natural and with the flow of my life. I never schedule a week off of training. It would drive me absolutely nuts. The only time I've ever done that, I think, is before a meet. Ben on Adventures. Hey, Steve, what's going on? I'm going to lose that 8 pounds this month. Nice. Over August, October, I gained about 9 pounds and felt like it. Yeah, I got a challenge over on my Massive Iron group on Facebook, and it is to lose 8 pounds in November, or do 1,000 body weight squats, or do 1,000 burpee kickbacks, which are the burpees without the push-up. So you guys can come over to my Massive Iron Facebook group, or just do this stuff on Instagram and tag me. Tavender, sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. What's going on, Spaghetti? What's going on, Trouble?
Busy cleaning.
Okay. Well, I'm busy answering questions one at a time. So,
okay.
All right, have fun. All right, sorry about that. Steve, how would you know that someone is a beginner, intermediate, or advanced lifter? It really has to do with, for me, um, I just know when I see them, because a beginner tends to start out, they don't really know their form. They don't really know their programming. They don't really know how to maximize sets. And some guys during that first year get their crap together and they get it all figured out. And then some guys have been in the gym, like I can go into a commercial gym right now and see guys with mediocre strength, with mediocre form, with mediocre results, and they've been in the gym for 3, 4, 5, even more years. I see, when I'm training with my wife, who was just in here, we do like exercise like cable tricep extensions, and she's doing sets with 90s and 100s. And then some other guy is some younger guy, less experienced than me, but still been in the gym for a couple of years. He hops on, he's doing 50s, and he's grunting like he's taking a crap. So, those are the beginners, the guys that just don't seem to ever get their form up to par, their strength up to par, their results up to par. They just kind of, and you can start out as a beginner and progress to an intermediate. An intermediate is somebody that has developed a good understanding of form, has developed a reasonable amount of strength to back that up, and has developed a reasonable amount of muscle mass. And you can tell this guy knows what he's doing in the gym, because you walk in and he kind of stands out a little bit because he's built, he's a little bit stronger. He's one of the stronger guys in the gym, one of the bigger guys in the gym. He's dedicated. He's developed consistency. An advanced lifter is more of a rare bird. An advanced lifter is like, holy crap, that guy is big and strong. And holy crap, that guy, has put in his time. And an advanced lifter, those when you walk into the gym, because like I do, it's an immediate brotherhood connection. Like that guy has been killing it for a long period of time, and he's big and strong, and his form is good. So on and so forth. I'm not sure if that helps, but Robert, and if I miss your question, just be patient. I try to get through them all. Least favorite exercise. That's a good question. My least favorite exercise of everything has to be anything abs, really. Ab work is boring to me, because outside of a plank or an ab wheel rollout, I just really hate ab work. And I don't know if it's because everybody is obsessed with ab work. Now, I didn't say I didn't say I hate ab strength, but ab work, it's like everybody's obsessed with six packs, and that's all good and well. No disrespect to anybody's goals, but ab work just bores the living crap out of me, because there's not a lot of ways you can progressively challenge yourself on a plank, unless you're going for 10 minutes. Yeah, you can challenge yourself in like an ab wheel rollouts and do them standing and all kinds of shenanigans, but just boring for me. Johan, hey man, cool to see you live. Any opinions on dumbbell armpit rows? I'm seeing a beginning modified version of your program from another YouTube video, doing 3-5, 3-5, 3-5-1 dumbbell armpit rows. I'm not really sure what those are, so maybe somebody could enlighten me and send me a link to a video. I'll check them out after this video, but I've never heard of the exercise. I really don't know what they are. I'm not sure if somebody's rowing towards their armpit. If so, that's kind of an unnatural angle. This is more of a natural angle for the body. If that's what they're doing, that would provide no extra benefit. I don't care what they say. You want to keep your angles natural and not beat up your body. Thoughts on conjugate periodization? Oh, good lords. Seems to work for everyone. Conjugate periodization works for everybody? Nah, man. I mean, I'm not being disrespectful to your question, but most people, conjugate periodization, if anybody's using conjugate periodization, it's the really advanced lifters that are training under the guys that are knowing what they're doing. I know a lot of power lifters, And it really comes down to not programming as much as just tailoring the program, not a specific program, but tailoring the programming to their specific needs. I do not like conjugate method for most people because I do not want you trying 1 rep maxes or heavy sets on exercises that you haven't done recently. There's too many downsides. Now, if you're a geared lifter and training in gear and all that kind of good stuff, or an experienced lifter, you know your limits and you know what exercises you can rotate in and out of a conjugate system. But for somebody like me, even though I do back squats, if I haven't done front squats in a while, I want to take some time and build up my strength before I go really, really heavy. And that's really good advice for anybody. You do not want to try an exercise variation until you've had some time with that exercise variation recently to make sure you understand the specific challenges of that exercise variation and the nuances. Did you hear about what did you think of the Great British Swim? I have no idea what that is. Sorry. Thank you for your service. Thank you very much. Joe Rella, how much cardio is good but not to lose muscle per week? You ain't going to lose cardio unless you're running you ain't going to lose muscle unless you're running like 10 miles a day, 6 days a week. So don't worry about that. Take care of your body, take care of your health. If you're training properly with weights, you will not lose muscle from cardio. Could you describe a stripping set for squats? Do you consider it a good rest pause approach? Squats, if you're going to do rest pause, you can, I don't mind rest pause on squats, but you have to make sure that you are mentally and physically ready to go again so you don't get injured. So if I were to do a stripping set, which is taking plates off the bar of squats, I wouldn't start really, really heavy, nothing heavier than maybe 85% of my 1 rep max. And I would, it'd really come down to the plates you have on and how easy they were to take off. But you're going to end up being like 45 seconds to a minute in between sets. And that's okay because squats are very, very taxing. You're going to rack the bar. You're going to take off the plates. You're going to put the collars back on. You're going to get under the bar. You're going to get set up. Boom, a minute's gone. So don't try to be overly quick. Just try to be natural with your flow and not run, because the squat sets and the stripping set is going to be challenging in and of itself. So I would probably drop down maybe 50 pounds each time. If you're starting with like 315 for 5, I would go down to maybe 275 the next set, then maybe 225, and then maybe 185 and 135. You don't want to do too many, and you really want to be careful with your reps. You don't want your form to get sloppy. You don't want to beat up your lower back. What's your take on barbell complexes as a metabolic cardio type of training? They are absolutely fine. I don't mind complexes in any form. Circuits, complexes, whatever, to keep your heart rate up with a little bit of resistance, they're absolutely fine. They're absolutely fine. Just make sure you know the movement patterns. You're doing them safely and not tearing up your body and doing them recklessly. And one of the biggest issues I see with complexes when I see somebody doing one in the gym is that they're usually a little bit loose on form or reckless. You want to keep a good, consistent pace. Your heart rate is going to be elevated when you're just from continuing to move with a little bit of resistance. So don't push the pace. Allow the pace to come to you, and instead keep your form nice and tight. Hi, Steve. What's a good intermediate program? I'm 5'8", 70 kilograms, and I bench. I have a lot of programs at my website, superlivingtoday.com. I have a power muscle block system that's really good for intermediates. You might want to check that out. That's only $7.99. That's one of my favorite programs. I have a lot of free programs over at tigerfitness.com if you don't want to pay for the power muscle block. There's so many good programs that I've written that it's really, really hard for me to just give you one answer, to pull one program out of my butt. I will say, though, that I do workout assessments. So if you want a program written by me that is good for you, I do that as well. I'll get all your information, I'll compile it, and I'll put together a program that is perfect for your stage and your equipment and your frequency. And you can find that at my website, superlivingtoday.com. Scott says, also, thank you very much for your time and effort. I look forward to seeing your videos. Thank you for your support. John West, Steve, what do you see, if any, what do you use, if any, for a belt? I don't use a belt. They're just tedious. You know, it's like, I used a belt for a while on squats. I don't know, 6 years back. And I just, you know, I've been squatting so long, I have a certain rhythm and pattern as far as tightness. So putting a belt on and pressing against a belt just didn't feel natural to me, because I already had developed my own way of being tight in the bench and in the squat. So it's certainly something you should play around with. If you find value, you should get a custom belt that is fit to you. It's going to cost you a little bit, but it's going to last a long, long time, maybe the rest of your life. Brett says, thanks, Steve. You're a good dude. No BS on this channel. Thank you very much. Alexander, is it okay that I perform well and progress in some exercises in 1 week and slow down the other week? Absolutely. That is part of how it works. If you have the expectation as a lifter that you're going to go into the gym and you're going to see consistent progression every single week, life does not work like that. That is an unrealistic expectation. I tell people to expect one workout a month on a specific exercise to be crap. And they'll be like, why is it crap? Why is this? Why is that? Who knows? That's life. There's too many things going on in your body. Your body could be fighting off a cold and you might not know it. Your CNS might be a little weak that day. Stress might be kicking your butt. Something you ate might be kicking your butt. There's too many factors. Sometimes it's just mathematics that we don't understand, like on a bench press, right? Maybe maybe our body only wants to push 225.49 pounds, you know, for 5 reps. And if it was 225.48 pounds, we might have got a 6 rep. Sometimes we're actually getting stronger. It just doesn't manifest itself in reps. And sometimes we just feel like crap because we're human beings. The overriding factor that will contribute to success is relentless consistency and relentless effort and drive. That is what leads to success. Being relentless and not stopping the fight. Because too many guys, when they have a bad week, they'll be like, I need to deload, I need to reset, I need to lower my weight and work on form. Something's wrong. Like, no. You had a bad week. Whenever somebody has a bad week and they want to reset their form or reset the weight or take a deload week because of a bad workout, they are just completely wrong in their thinking. Get back in the gym and tear it up. 1 rep max reverse wrist curls. Not really sure what that's about. Hey, Steve, is it possible for a guy with small forearms like myself to get them pretty big? Yes. You have 16.5 wrists. I have 16.25 inch wrists. I do. That's where they were when I was 18. They're 7.25 now, just because I'm big and fat and muscular. But I have people look at my forearms and like, good Lord, you have huge forearms. What do you do to work your forearms? I don't do anything. Just a lot of barbell exercises. So you can certainly get big forearms, and a guy with smaller wrists or smaller bone structure, the forearms are going to look even bigger. Steve, what do you think about upper back rounding and deadlifts? Absolutely fine. You want upper back rounding. You don't want your back like pulled back. You don't want scapular retraction. When you are holding the bar, you want your arms to be, you want to be as tall as possible. And that might involve some upper back rounding. If you're trying to get your back flat to start the deadlift, it's going to end up increasing the likelihood that you're going to tear something in your scapula. And it's bringing you down, decreasing your leverages. Upper back rounding is perfectly fine in the deadlift. Lower back rounding is not. How much cardio is good per week without losing muscle? I answered this question earlier. You don't worry about it. You're not going to lose muscle. Just train hard on the weights, unless you're doing 10 miles a day of running. Will there be a video topic on the microplating? Microplating, I thought about that. And, microplating is a good idea for smaller exercises, smaller muscle groups, exercises with lighter weights like side laterals, like rear delt flies, like regular flies. Microplating is really good for that. Microplating for the big lifts, it's probably not a bad idea when you're an advanced lifter and gains are really, really slow and messing with your head and you're only adding 5 pounds to your bench press a year. It might be worth a try. So there's some value in it. It's not going to increase your gains. It's not going to increase your progress. It's more of a mental thing. It's more of a thing that allows you to progress in smaller increments on exercises that are a pain in the butt. But ultimately, if you start out on a lateral raise with 15 pounds as a beginner, 20 years from now, you're probably going to be doing 35 pounds. There's not a lot of room for progression with or without microplates, if you know what I'm saying. Good morning, Steve. About to start my body weight squats for the day. I'm sitting at 235. These challenges are great and help with motivation. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I love doing stuff like this. And when I post it on Instagram, sometimes I get people that just slam me like, you're going to tear up your knees, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Challenging yourself is what this is all about. Whether it's with weights or body weight squats or running. So anybody that doesn't get that really doesn't understand fitness. So just keep that in mind. Keep challenging yourself, guys and girls. RC Kens, I'm down 49 pounds since February. Way to go. Nice work. Keep it up. Lawrence Cooper, why does it seem as though when I get stronger, I gain weight, but I'm trying to lose weight? Maybe because you're building muscle. It's a complex topic, and without looking at your body and the weight you're gaining, it's really hard to say. Alexander, would there be any differences between a basic strength muscle building routine and a powerlifting routine? In the off season, no. In the off season, power building is basically bodybuilding, like the way the Lillibridges train. It's power building, it's bodybuilding style. Bodybuilders sometimes get more elaborate with their techniques and the mind-muscle connection, so there can be some differences. But for a peaking program, yes. A power lifter has 2 blocks, should have 2 blocks. They should have an off-season block where they're trying to build and not do a lot of low volume, not beat up their body. And then they have a peaking, where they're peaking for a meet or peaking for a 1 rep max effort sometime in the future. So there's definitely a difference for powerlifting when you're peaking. Hector, high reps versus low reps training to failure, any difference? That is a very, very complex question, because no exercise is the same. You can't talk about high reps versus low reps to failure. Every exercise is different to failure. It's exercise specific. Squats, if you take it to failure, you're going to increase your risk of injury dramatically. Deadlifts you take to failure, you're going to increase your risk of injury dramatically. On the other hand, I can take bench press to failure every week. Doesn't bother me. I can take barbell rows to failure every week. Doesn't bother me. Dumbbell rows taken to failure, I'd probably die of a heart attack because they're like cardio. You do not want to do low reps to failure on heavy compound movements like squats or deadlifts. Also, there is no need to take any set to failure. With that said, some exercises you can take to failure and it's not going to beat up the body. So there is a rule. You don't need to train to failure, but there is a rule you can break. You can train to failure on exercises where it's not going to beat up your body. It's just not necessary. Evening up your arm muscles. As far as size, good luck with that. This is a question I get a lot. And after 32 years of training, my right arm's still bigger than my left. My right forearm's still bigger than my left forearm. That's just the way it is. Just get everything, focus on what you can control, getting every muscle group from head to toe as big and as strong as humanly possible. If you're obsessed with trying to make them equal, it's probably never going to happen. Good day, Steve. Have a good day. You too, James. Joe says, a true athlete has no gut. I hate statements like that. That's idiot talk, Joe. And I don't like to tell any of my viewers they're an idiot, but Joe, you're an idiot. If you say a true athlete has no gut, you have not seen the bodies of top-level athletes. Olympians, there's been Olympians shown half naked in fitness magazines or in like Sports Illustrated. They don't look perfect and shredded like sliced and diced like a 152-pound UFC fighter. So your head is up your ass, Joe, if that's what you think. That's just Joe wanting to be a skinny six-pack abs guy, and anybody that doesn't want to be a skinny six-pack abs guy is a dipshit, according to Joe. So, Joe, you are the idiot of the day. And I'm sorry. I don't like to call my viewers an idiot, but that's crap. I hate crap advice, and I hate crap limited thinking. And I hate people that like to run around the fitness industry telling anybody what their goals should be or what fitness should be for them. So, get lost, Joe. John, Fit UK, barbell versus dumbbells in general. I like them both, and that's my honest answer. I like them both during a week. When I'm programming for bench press or for chest, I want to see somebody do both a barbell and a dumbbell exercise each week. Same thing for rows, same thing for overhead presses. Now, dumbbell exercises can be used unilaterally. Unilateral strength, which is rowing one arm at a time or using one arm at a time, has been shown when you only work one arm at a time, it tends to recruit more. The central nervous system tends to rev up, and you're actually stronger in that one arm push or pull. So if you can barbell row 315, you'd probably be able to dumbbell row 200 pounds. You're stronger in the one arm than you are both together. So that doesn't make one arm or dumbbell exercises magic. It just means there's something to that. You should probably do both. There's a good synergy between them. What's the most unconventional lift you do in your workouts? Oh, that's a good question. I really don't like unconventional lifts. I've dabbled with them a little bit. I like the basics. I really do. I don't do a lot of, I just don't do unconventional stuff. I think the most unconventional thing I do is a lot of body weight stuff lately. A lot of body weight squats, a lot of push-ups. I got the TRX thing over there, TRX pull-ups. I just like doing that stuff. I like to build my strength in those ways. How can I build up a lagging shoulder muscle? My left is a lot smaller than my right. Focus on what you can control. Do dumbbell and barbell exercises each week and get them both as strong as humanly possible. That's all you can control. And if it doesn't, no pink room today. No pink room. The room in there looks a little bit pink, but we're painting in here. In my kitchen, the guy that moved out was a musician, the guy that lived above me, and he had a studio in there in my bedroom, which is now my bedroom, and he had it like purple pink color, which apparently is really good for his music. I don't know. Joseph says, I'm late. Sorry. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you. Thank you kindly. Straight sets or back off sets, which is better? What's better is progress over a long period of time. That question is null and void. Neither is better. What's better is the effort in getting strong over a long period of time. Do whatever you want. Work at a company that has decent gym. How would you, if you would recommend spreading volume over 8-hour day, business day, casual won't allow for competition? I don't understand the question. Are you trying to work out over the course of 8 hours? If so, I need more information to understand what you're trying to accomplish, to be honest. Steve, I used to do full body workout, but I do not sore and I feel no pump in the body, but no soreness after a week. Is it necessary to have a pump? Is it necessary to have a pump? No. Can the pump be beneficial to muscle growth? As far as we know from the research, yes. Most of the workouts that I do involve heavy work, they involve volume work, and they involve some kind of a finisher or pump work, because I like to attack hypertrophy and strength from those three areas. So I like to do pump work, but is it necessary? No. Soreness is not necessary either. What you need to understand about soreness, and I've preached this over and over again, is that soreness is generally not from a muscle. Soreness is from the fascia tissue in and around the muscle. That has more sensory neurons. I believe it's the fascia has, I believe, 9 times more sensory neurons than the muscle. So when you feel soreness, when you feel pain, when you feel stiffness, it's usually not the muscle. That is why you will notice some muscle groups always get sore and some never get sore. They have different fascia makeups. Let's see here. Let me get some coffee. 41 minutes in. Just a reminder, guys, my website, superlivingtoday.com. T-shirts, books, training services. Please check it out. Poke around. I appreciate your support. Tufa. What is a smart way to prioritize peripheral muscles, namely calves and forearms, when doing a full body work 3 times a day? What's a smart way to prioritize them? You can do them in between sets. I talked earlier about rocking calf raises, which I rock back on my heels, then on my toes. You could do that in between sets if you want. I wouldn't do that in between sets of your major compound movements, but you could do that in between sets of all the rest of your exercises. The best way to prioritize them is just to do them frequently. And honestly, if calves and abs were an issue for me, I'd probably do them in my off days, because they're only going to take like 10 minutes, and you can do them in the morning or at night or whenever. So Javier says, hey, BHUD, what is your opinion on the program made by individuals like Dylan McKenna, David Lade? I know the name David Lade. I don't know Dylan McKenna. On any program, as long as it has a good exercise selection and some method of progression, it'll work if you work it. The magic behind most programs is usually the guy pushing in the gym. John West says, Steve, how come you're so damn cool? I think I get all my good genetics and coolness from my mother, to be honest with you. We'll just say it's my mom. Depression can kill your strength and motivation. Absolutely. And depression and anxiety are real issues. And they can steal your motivation, they can steal your drive, and they can obviously steal your happiness. So, yes, they can. Let's see. Free to be free. Good morning, Steve. I was wondering if you have heard of Andy Baker. And if so, what do you think of his programming theories? I have not. Send them to me at Instagram at Ben the Barman. What about working out while sick? It depends on how sick you are, what the sickness is. If you have a stomach bug or you're crapping out of your manhole, you don't want to be at the gym. Don't get people sick. The biggest thing is, like, commercial gyms, don't get other people sick. Really, I mean, just don't contribute to that. If you're at home, if you're at home and you have a mild cold that's not, in your lungs, it's okay to do a little bit of work. If I have a respiratory thing which is impacting my breathing, I generally don't do any training. Bob says, Steve, you like doing 2 compound exercises for shoulders, one with a bar and one with a dumbbell. Is there much of a difference between the two? There's much of a difference. No, there's not much of a difference. It's more the unilateral thing. And there's different ways of doing, like, a single arm or doing a dumbbell overhead press. You can do it single arm. You can do like a single arm push press. You can do alternating. Many ways you can do it. So there's not inherently a big difference. It's just minor differences. But if you have 2 exercises that have minor differences, they usually combine to make you stronger as a whole, if that makes sense. Steve, how to build lagging rear delts. You know, the thing with rear delts is like a lot of guys do a lot of fluffy, puffy work for their rear delts. Face pulls, face pulls, face pulls, face pulls, rear delt flies, and their rows suck. Their row strength sucks. Now, I've had to tell people this over and over again. A face pull, a row, a face pull, a row. They're not that different of a movement. So if you're going to do a lot of face pulls, you should also make sure you get your row strength as strong as humanly possible. That is a foundation for your rear delts, just as somebody that does a lot of bench pressing or pressing has big front delts. So just keep that in mind. And from there, you know, you want to do probably some volume and rest pause work on face pulls or rear delt flies. And I like rest pause work. So you that's one exercise or one muscle group where it's very imperative that you focus on more of a mind-muscle connection. And I don't say that often, but that's a hard muscle group for many to target. So you really want to get tuned in with where you're working and probably do some rest pause work. Ziggy, do you advocate rest days for lifters with around 1 year experience? I advocate rest days for people that have 0 days experience. You need to rest and get your butt out of the gym. You don't need, if you go into the gym and train 6-7 days a week and you're doing it properly, you're going to beat the living crap out of your body. You're going to wake up a year from now really strong, but really beat up. Joel, morning. Did you get your first big snowfall of the year? No, but it's 21 degrees here, so we're close. What's going on, Simon? Appreciate your support. Joe, how do I get my wife to go to the gym with me since she doesn't like weights? Handcuffs, picking her up and pulling her into the car. Obviously, man, you can't, honestly, you can't get anybody to do something they don't want to do. What I do recommend is maybe trying to do something at home with her. My sister is a runner. She hates resistance training. I can't, you know, no matter what I do, I can't, you know, change her mind. I would maybe introduce her to bands, maybe introduce her to body weight stuff, but find a way of moving with her that you guys can do together as a couple that she might enjoy, even if it's walking or extra sex. Free to be free. How does the creatine challenge going when you increase your creatine per day? Creatine always works well for me. And I didn't, you know, me and Fiona take creatine every day. But really what I want to do with the challenge, and muscle pumps are good for me. So what I want to do with the challenge is more to get people to try more creatine than just in their pre-workout to see how it worked for them. But it works well for me. Would it be okay to use an easy bar curl for deadlifts for a beginner to build up strength? No. You're not going to get the same grip. You're not going to be able to use enough weight. You can use an easy bar as kind of a Romanian deadlift or stiff leg deadlift, but as a regular deadlift, no. You're better off, you know, just using it as like a Romanian deadlift or stiff leg deadlift. And if you don't have a barbell, obviously find a gym that does. I just bought a barbell on here off Amazon for $67, and it had 4.5 stars review, so it's crazy. Steve, what gets more gains, Raisin Bran or Raisin Bran Crunch? It gets more gains if you actually crush them up and put them in your butthole. All right, way to get rid of gyno. If it's real gyno, you probably have to have surgery. I don't know. I'm not an expert on gyno. If it's man boobs, you might have to have surgery or lose fat. What do you think about swimming during rest days? Love it. Swimming is a great low-impact method of cardio and a great low-impact method of movement. Swimming is good. Good morning. I'm down 80 pounds and counting, but my question is, you lose weight based on a deficit, but can you really lose weight when the deficit is over 3,400 calories? Yes. Yes, you can, because it's a deficit. A calorie deficit is inherently a deficit, therefore you will lose weight, no matter how many calories you're eating. I had a client that was from Greece that could eat 4,000 calories a day and not gain weight at all. And if he dropped to 3,800 calories a day, he started to lose weight. So yes. How many exercises do you suggest in a workout which is part of a push-pull leg split? To answer that question, head over to Super Living today and buy my book, Massive Iron. And that has tons and tons of programs. And that is the best way for me to answer the question. Nice video collection you've done. Thank you. Leg extension is better than squat, though. I'm not touching that one because squat is better. Supersets, not sure what that means. What's the difference between volume and intensity? You have volume, intensity, and frequency. Those are the three pillars of a workout system. Volume is sets times reps times tons, or sets times reps times weight. So if you're doing 100 pounds for 5 sets of 10, 5 by 10 is 50, times 100 would be 5,000. That's the tonnage. That's the volume. Intensity is weight relative to your 1 rep max. So if your 1 rep max on a lift is 315 pounds, intensity is the closer you get to 315 pounds, the more intense it is. The closer you get to your 1 rep max, the less volume you can do, the less reps you can do, you'll get beat up. So volume, intensity, and frequency are 3 pillars of a training system. When you do more volume, you probably have to do less frequency or less intensity. So when you raise one, you kind of have to adjust the other. Well, I'm going to have to go soon, guys. It's been 51 minutes, and I got to get off and have a client coming. My experience is as getting older, training not to the limit, but more often seems to be better for the regeneration. As you get older, you don't want to really push to the limit. I don't do that very frequently because I'm as strong as I'm ever going to get, really. And for me, it's more maintaining and taking care of your body at that point. I messed up my erector spinae muscle, been stretching for a few days. Do you suggest any specific exercises? When I hear that, the first thing I think of is that somebody had bad deadlift form. And I can't make that assumption because I haven't seen your deadlift and I don't know the cause of your injury. But spinae erectors are usually injured with bad deadlift form or bad like RDL form or bad squat form. So I would need to know the cause, because if one of those exercises caused your issue, you probably need to fix that first. Good day, Steve. What do you think of deficit deadlifts and stiff leg deadlifts? I see a lot of guys doing deficit deadlifts with relatively weak deadlifts. A lot of guys doing deficit deadlifts and halting deadlifts. I don't necessarily think they're the best way. A deficit deadlift puts you at a worse mechanical advantage, a worse leverage position, which usually means more stress on your lower back. And I don't necessarily think that's the best way to train the deadlift. Is it completely ineffective? I didn't say that. I just don't believe it is the best way to train for deadlift strength. Some guys are going to find a lot of value in it. Maybe a lot of advanced lifters have tried it and find value in it, but I don't think it's a good idea for most of you. Hey, Steve, I have inside elbow pain. That's tendonitis. And check out the videos on my channel on tendonitis, elbow tendonitis. I have at least 2 or 3. Just go to the search bar in my videos and you can find information on that. Sort of continue peaking of muscles imbalances, rear delts, front delts. Your rowing strength should be about the same. Your bench press strength and rowing strength should be about the same. Yes, about the same. What is the best time to take BCAAs? BCAAs are a hot topic, and I'm no supplement expert. So I don't. I use BCAAs just in water, just to add a little bit of flavor to what I drink. And I know some of that will make some of you laugh, but you know, BCAAs. Head over to Tiger Fitness. We got a lot of good articles on BCAAs. I'm just no supplement expert. What creatine brand do you use? MTS Nutrition at Tiger Fitness has Creapure. It is top quality. I know because we make it, and that's what I recommend. It's very inexpensive as well. Hi, ugly dude. How's it going? What supplements do you use? We use a probiotic, We use protein powder, obviously. I use creatine and beta alanine, and that's really the staples for me. Sometimes a pre-workout. I suffered a lower back injury deadlifting. How do I return lifting safely? You need to hire me to critique your deadlift. I mean, seriously, go over to Super Living today and hire me to do a exercise form assessment. When I look at squats and deadlifts on Instagram and YouTube, there's a lot of bad lifts. And I keep my mouth shut. But most of you need some help. I provide a service, $40. I'll fix your lift if you listen to me. That's a pretty good value if you think about it. Thank you, Jacob. MC Adams, what do you think about pre-exhaust? I answered this question last week. I'll tackle it again. Pre-exhaust. I don't like it before major muscle groups or major compound movements. When you go into a compound, and let me caveat that, if you're going relatively heavy. If you're going relatively heavy on a squat, bench, or deadlift, or big compound movement, don't pre-exhaust. If you're doing more volume or rep work on a compound movement, then it's okay. It's okay to do, but it's not a magic system. It's not a magic protocol. It's just, if you like doing it, do it. Just don't do it when you're before heavy compound movements. Should I invest in more time in box squats than back squats if I want to increase my deadlift? No, certainly not. If you want to increase your deadlift, you probably more value adding in front squats and getting your back strength very strong. And thoughts on knee sleeves, I answered that earlier in the video. Sorry, guys, I got to go. It's been 56 minutes. I got a client coming. If you need any help, I appreciate you guys watching. If you need any help, please come over to superlivingtoday.com. Check out my workout programs, my services, and my books, and my shirts. Also, if I missed your question and you want some help, go over to at Ben the Barman on Instagram and just send me a DM. I answer every single question sent to me. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate your support. I'll be back every Saturday at 10 a.m. I'm also on Instagram Live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate you guys' support. Have a great weekend.